The Charpy impact test, also known as the Charpy V-notch test, is a standardized high strain rate test which determines the amount of energy absorbed by a material during fracture. This absorbed energy is a measure of a given material's toughness and acts as a tool to study temperature-dependent ductile to brittle transitions. The machine calculates the energy absorbed by the sample during impact by evaluating the potential energy difference of the hammer between the start position and the maximum height reached after impact. It is important that the safety guidelines and risk assessment are read before carrying out the test. To begin, lift the pendulum or hammer up counterclockwise until you go past the lock point, indicated by a metallic click. Bring the hammer gently to rest against the stop point. As a safety measure, it is important to introduce a metal rod through this loop, in case the lock fails. To accurately place your sample in the machine, a jig is used. This is a metallic rod mounted through a metallic square plate. Place the jig such that the square plate rests against the machine with the rod resting on the same ridge as your sample. Whilst keeping the jig in place, put the sample flush against the rod. Retract the jig. If you have done the previous steps correctly, then the sample should be positioned with the notch facing left and the notch aligned with the plane in which the hammer moves. Remove the safety bar. Make sure your colleagues are at a safe distance from the machine, and then release the hammer by pulling on the two black knobs at the top of the instrument simultaneously, while standing as far back as possible. The hammer will swing and fracture your sample. Stop the hammer as soon as it has swung once by pulling down the red lever. The machine will beep to indicate when you can pull on the lever. Note down the energy shown. The maximum energy value the machine can measure is 50 joules. This value usually appears when the sample has not been broken. To pick up your sample, make sure the hammer is still, then open the clear door to collect it. Place the sample in a labeled overview box so that the samples can be revisited. For broken samples, look at the fracture surface and note down the percentage of the area which appears to be reflecting light along small facets. For hot and cold samples, remove the samples carefully from the machine by wearing hot or cold resistant gloves respectively, and use tongs to handle the specimen as shown.